Another video from Fast Tech. In this one, we're going to be disassembling a Nintendo Wii. I'm going to be disassembling the system down to the motherboard. I'm going to be showing you guys each component that fails and how to replace it when it does. This video is brought to you by the Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit, which is a toolkit we're going to be using to disassemble this Nintendo Wii. Not only does this kit disassemble a Nintendo Wii, but also a Nintendo Wii U, a Nintendo Switch, a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Apple products. It even has bits you can use to disassemble McDonald's toys with. Let's get started. So here we have a Nintendo Wii. This is an LU7 model. If you want to check the serial number on a Nintendo Wii, also the model number, you can look at the bottom. Here it says model number, it says RVL001, and this is one of the first gen Nintendo Wiis, and this is a serial LU7. There's an LU1, LU2, and I do believe, depending on what LU model you have, if it's an LU7, it's generally a newer edition, but nonetheless, let's continue. This particular Nintendo Wii is missing a plastic panel that covers these GameCube port controllers. On your Wii, you would most likely have this panel, or maybe you don't, because these do come off quite easy, and a lot of people do end up losing these. So on a normal Wii, you'd have two white panels instead of just this one here. So we're gonna start this disassembly by lifting up this panel like this, and then lifting it right out. It's gonna come out of the hinge. We're gonna do the same if you have the bigger piece, white piece here, but you don't. Then we're gonna remove these 3 black Phillips screws. And I don't mean Black Phillip like Patrice O'Neal, rest in peace, the great Patrice O'Neal. We're gonna remove the black Phillips screw. And when we're gonna continue, there's 3 on this side. Once we have the screws removed, we're gonna grab this black piece here and lift it up like that. And when you're reassembling, take note that this piece goes in like this, and then you're gonna put the screws back in for when you're reassembling. Then we're gonna see more Phillips screws, and we're gonna see 2 tri-wing screws. This is a proprietary screw that we do include in our Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit. You won't find this bit at your local Home Depot, I promise, because Nintendo, I believe, has made it so where you can't, since this is a proprietary tool that they don't sell to anybody. But we do include a bit that would work on this in our Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit, and I'll show you guys that in a few minutes. So we're gonna remove the Phillips screws. So we're gonna use a Y1 bit, an actual Y1 bit, which I found, which is not where the Y1 bit was supposed to be. So I'll take this out, put it in the Phillips section. We'll sort out which one it is later, but that's the Phillips. We're gonna get a Y1. We're gonna hook it up to our Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit. I'm gonna get this out of the way. We're gonna use our Y1 bit. This is not a tri-wing, because a tri-wing is licensed by Nintendo, and that would be wrong. And we're gonna remove our tri-wing screw with our Y1 bit. Not the tri-wing bit, of course. We're gonna remove the other one. Then we're gonna look at the bottom. There's some stickers we're gonna have to remove. And also we're gonna have to remove this and this rubber foot right here, which hides a screw. So I'm gonna use a knife. You guys can use tweezers. Some people are using tweezers for this. I like using a big Smith & Wesson knife, Because like an American. A true patriot, god damn it. We're gonna remove these stickers one at a time, exposing the screws that hide underneath like cowards. And since I'm a red-blooded American, I'm gonna get to these screws. And then we're gonna remove this rubber foot. So this one here is a Phillips, so we're gonna switch back to a Phillips bit. There you go, came out. Now we're gonna remove this Phillips screw. This is also how you replace the CMOS battery. That's the CMOS battery right there, which holds date and time. And all you gotta do is take it out and put a new one in, of course, from fasttechstore.com. Link's gonna be in the description box for these. You can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. We're gonna remove the Phillips screws. We're gonna switch back to our Y1 bit. Remember guys, it's not a tri-wing, it's a Y bit. We're gonna remove the tri-wing screws. Boom. Like a professional, because I am. I'm literally a professional, guys. Now there's two other screws here and two other screws here underneath these rubber feet that we're gonna remove. Back to the Smith & Wesson. I hope I don't get demonetized because I said Smith & Wesson, because YouTube has a policy against gun content. So guys, please like the video. Please like the video. That's all I got. I'm probably gonna get demonetized now and banned because I said Smith & Wesson. I'm gonna remove the other sticker. We're gonna remove these rubber feet. Remove the other foot. Now we're gonna remove these two tri-wing screws and these two tri-wing screws that are hiding in there. So for the black ones in the front, we're gonna have to use a Y2, a Y2.0 or a 0 size, or 00 should work. You're gonna have to use the smaller Y bit out of our kit. But they're all in the FastTech Pro Auto Kit and in the toolkit. They're all there, including many other bits. Now that we have these screws out of the way, for the next step, we're gonna remove the faceplate. And the faceplate holds the power button, the reset button, the eject button, and this door right here. And if any of these are damaged or not working and you want to replace it, at this point, now that we've removed all the screws, all we're gonna do is lift out the faceplate. There's gonna be a cable behind it. Be very careful. As you can see from the overhead cam, there's a cable right here. We're gonna grab the connector from the sides, wiggle and pull, and it's gonna come out. And that's the faceplate, power button, reset and eject button assembly for the Wii. It also has the disc door. And we sell this part on our website at fasttechstore.com. You guys can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Now we're gonna remove this side of the case. We're gonna grab the Wii like this, and we're gonna start splitting it up on the side here. And the case is gonna come off like so. And now we're gonna remove this shield right here. Gonna lift it up. And now the disk drive is exposed. Since the Wii is primarily a disc-based console, a lot of you are going to be watching this video to replace the disk drive, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that right now. There's a few screws that hold it in. There's 4 Phillips screws that are circled on the screen right now. We're gonna be removing these with a Phillips 0 or a 1 should even work. We're gonna remove these Phillips screws. You can leave them in there for now. Matter of fact, I would recommend leaving them in there because it makes things a little bit easier when you reassemble this thing. The ones in the front are most likely gonna come out, yeah, because there's not a lot of space for them to sit. We're gonna lift up the disk drive at this point, but be careful. And at this point, you'd want to remove these ones with like a magnetized screwdriver. Get them right out of there, because as we move the disk drive, these screws could get lost in the disk drive, and that's a big no-no. You don't want that thing in there when your disk drive is spinning at like 5,000 RPM a second. Well, not literally, but that's an exaggeration. Guys are gonna be in the comments, oh, it doesn't spin that fast. Yeah, I know, it's a joke, it's an exaggeration. It's a metaphor, if you will. Anyways, at this point, we're gonna lift up the disk drive slightly, and there's cables underneath, as you can see on the secondary cam here. There's cables underneath that we do not want to damage. So what we want to do is we want to lift up the disk drive slightly at this point, and we're going to lift and we're going to tilt it to the left side here. To my left, if the console was in this orientation as you're seeing on screen, we're going to move the disk drive to the left. And now at this point, we're going to remove this connector here by lifting it up. This is the data cable, and that's the power cable for the disk drive. We're going to pull the power connector out, but the ribbon cable has a connector on it, which you don't want to break. Be careful. Well, if it is an old disk drive that you're replacing, I guess it doesn't matter, because on these systems, unlike the Xbox 360s and PS3s of its generation and the consoles that came after them, this logic board does not have to stay with this motherboard. You can toss this in the garbage, get a new disk drive. As long as it has its own logic board, you can put it in and you can run this thing no problem. Unlike, like I said, other systems that require this logic board to be saved with this motherboard. So if I wanted to replace this disk drive on an Xbox, I'd have to do a bunch of other steps, retain the old logic board, but we don't have to do this here. So if you, for example, if you had a new disk drive that you ordered from fasttechstore.com, of course, why would you order from anywhere else? All you gotta do is toss this disk drive, put your new one in, of course, from fasttechstore.com, reinstall the cables. The cable connector goes in only one way. The side piece here, the tab, it's gonna be closer to this side, and then that's how you're gonna put it in. All right, it's gonna be closer to the system itself. So we're gonna put the power cable in, and then I'm just showing this for when you guys reassemble this later on. And then the cable goes in, and then you push the clip in, and this cable has to go in all the way till the blue line. The blue line should pretty much be invisible, as you can see here, once it's under the clip. And then you can tuck this part of the cable back in here. That's where it should go. All right, tuck it in there. That's important. And then put your disk drive back in, insert all the screws, tighten them in, and then reassemble this thing, and that's how you replace a disk drive on a Wii. But let's continue, let's move on. Next, I'm gonna be showing you guys how to replace the fan. As you can see, the Wii has a very small Nidec fan. Very, very small, but again, this system didn't make a lot of power, therefore not a lot of heat. Therefore, the fan is small. So I'm gonna show you guys how to replace the fan. It's fairly easy. There's a connector here that we're gonna have to remove. Once you have the connector out, like that, we're gonna remove the two Phillips screws that are hiding underneath. And then the fan, along with the two screws, is gonna come out like that. And we sell this fan on our website at fasttechstore.com. These fans do stop working. Sometimes they're just dirty and dusty. You can clean them out. But lots of times the motor fails or the coil inside fails. I'm going to put a link in the description box for these and also in the top comment. And you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. And it goes without saying that you don't have to remove the disk drive to replace the fan. If you were in here just to replace the fan, you didn't have to remove the disk drive. All you had to do was replace the fan and then close the system. Do what I did, but in reverse. Now we're gonna remove all these Phillips screws that we see. We're gonna remove the silver ones and then the black ones. Now we're gonna lift up this piece here. Should come out like that, along with the screws. And as you can see, they're different length screws. The one in the middle is way smaller than the two on the sides. Do take note of that when you guys are reassembling this thing. Now we're going to remove this piece. Also has a screw that holds it in. Now we're going to remove these black screws here that hold this front piece in. We don't have to remove this piece yet, we can leave it in. We're going to continue removing other screws from the system. There's one hiding here. Now we're going to remove this piece here. There's a cable that runs under this piece. We're going to remove this cable. There is tape here that holds it in. You could remove this tape by lifting it up. Sometimes it does get ripped off. I use a flat head. Lift the tape up like that. There's another piece of tape here that we're gonna have to remove. Like that. Tape came off. Now we can remove this plastic piece here. Lift it out. Is there any other cable holding it? Oh, there's a screw in the middle that I did loosen earlier, but not loose enough. And now it should come out. That piece comes out. There's a screw in here. There's more screws hiding underneath. There's another screw here that holds the antenna in. There are two antennas, one here, one on the side of the system. Lift it up. This one is held in by a clip, I think, if I remember correctly. There's this on the side at the front here. These clips that we gotta pull, and then this thing comes out. These are the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas. So if you're having Wi-Fi issues, if it's not the network chip, it's most likely these antennas. They're probably broke, and we do sell these on our website as well. There's another screw up here. Now that we've loosened that screw, we should be able to push down this little clip here, and this whole shroud for the heatsink is going to come off along with the screw, for the screws that hold it in. And now we can see the heatsink, and that's the back plate for the motherboard, and the motherboard's underneath. I'll lift this piece out like that. There's a nut that fell out, and that goes here, so make sure you know where this nut goes, because one of the screws, this screw for the CMOS battery, bolts into this nut. Just so you guys know when you're reassembling this thing, because I know I will get comments for that. I know my audience. See the network adapter here on this side. I don't think we can remove it till we get to everything. It's been a while since I've even done one of these, so I'm working based off memory here. It's been a few years. I was in high school when these things came out, and that's when I started this business. And one of the first systems, well, the first system I ever worked on was a 360, and then we started working on PS3s, and then eventually Nintendo Wii's, because these were everywhere. Now we're going to remove the remaining Phillips screws. And again, guys, this automatic screwdriver that I'm using is available at fasttechstore.com or fasttech.ca, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Links for this are also going to be in the description box and the top comment as well. There's one more screw that we're going to remove here. And now this plate is going to come off. And then we're just going to lift this plate out like that. And now we have access to a bunch of things, including the network card and of course the motherboard. This right here is a Wi-Fi module. So if you're having Wi-Fi issues, your Wii's not seeing any Wi-Fi connections, or you're getting Wi-Fi related errors, you need to replace this module, and you can do so simply by lifting it up. It's held in by a connector, and we sell this connector on our website at fasttechstore.com. There's antennas on it that you can simply remove by lifting them up like that. Lift it up by the connector, and they go on the same way they came off. Make sure the circle lines up, and then you push it down. All right, that's the Wi-Fi adapter right there. This is a model J27H010. These are the antennas. Sometimes these can break too. These connect directly onto the Wi-Fi adapter as I demonstrated. This right here, this piece here is the Bluetooth module. And your Wii uses Bluetooth to connect to the wireless controller and for other functionality, other Bluetooth functionality. And that's the Bluetooth module. So if you're having Bluetooth issues, this is what you got to replace. This is a model J27H002, and this is something we also sell on our website at fasttechstore.com. Again, as always, links are in the description box and the top comment, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Now we're going to remove the heatsink off the motherboard. 4 Phillips screws holding it in. For this one, the FastTech Pro Toolkit isn't going to get in the heatsink, so we're going to have to use a longer Phillips screwdriver and get the heatsink off. And now we're gonna be able to get the whole motherboard out of the system. And that's our Wii motherboard right there. Now if we use some force, we can remove the heatsink off the motherboard completely. And as you can see, there is, instead of thermal paste, there are thermal pads that are on the system here. We're gonna go ahead and take a knife and remove these thermal pads. So we're gonna remove the thermal pad. Remove the thermal pads, and then you're gonna see that this has an ATI powered chip. As you can see here, Nintendo ATI brought on NEC, and I think it's made in Japan. Yeah, so that's the GPU right there, a Nintendo ATI brought on. That's the graphics chip, and that tiny little thing from IBM, that's the processor right there. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that's the processor on a Nintendo Wii. You know, I mean, to run Mario Kart, you don't need much. And we do sell this motherboard on our website as well at fasttechstore.com, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. And again, guys, keep in mind that any parts that you buy for Nintendo Wii in 2022 at the time I'm recording this video are going to be used, with the exception of the disk drive, which I believe you can still buy new, but everything else is going to be used, because again, this is a system that was stopped manufacturing for years and years ago. Maybe even 10 years ago they stopped making these. So the only way to get parts for us is what you saw tonight. We got to disassemble these systems and ship out the parts to you that way. Also, because the manufacturers don't want us to have these parts, this is the only way to do it. So keep that in mind when you order parts from us at fasttechstore.com. I just like to be completely honest and upfront with my customers, so I'm letting you know in advance. So there you go, guys, that's another video from Fast Tech. And as I mentioned before, if you need any other parts like the motherboard here or the disk drive from this Nintendo Wii, please do check us out at fasttechstore.com. We got all the parts you need, including our Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit, which you're going to need to disassemble not only your Nintendo Wii, but your Xbox, your PlayStation, your Apple MacBook, your iPhone. Shit, it even has a bit you can open up McDonald's toys with. Links in the description box, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. And also check out my vlog channel in which I travel the world and I record my adventures. Link for that is going to be also in the description box and top comment. This is Shiroz from Fast Tech, and I'll see you in the next one.